Hey guys, so today's project is using this LORNE Little Lizard King sewing pattern to make this top for my daughter. It can also be done as a dress. You just have to increase the length of the skirt. This fabric is from Joann's. It glows in the dark and my daughter absolutely loves it. It was a really easy sew, perfect for a smaller piece of fabric and just a really easy project. I'm going to start with the skirt. Now I did not do a video tutorial on how to do the skirt just because I feel at this point it's just so easy and easier to just explain with words. First of all, you have two rectangles, front and back piece. You serge the sides, do a straight stitch on the sides. The bottom of the skirt is serged and folded over 1/4 of an inch, and you straight stitch the hem to finish it off. The top of the skirt has two stitch lines with the longest stitch length possible on your sewing machine because you are going to pull those two threads and gather it at the waist to create all those little pleats, and that is the process of making a skirt. It's really easy, and I will do a separate video if somebody needs more detailed instructions. So one of the first steps I do is creating the back ties. Now it's going to have a big white bow in the back. I use an old bow just sort of as a guideline to see how much fabric I actually needed. I knew I wanted a wider bow than the instructions call for, so I ended up cutting a 28-inch piece of fabric by 3 inches in height, and I just do one big strap, which at the end will be folded in half and cut right at the center after it's all finished. You want to make sure you finish the ends nice and clean, and the reason why is because at the end you want to have these two straps, and these two straps, the bottom of that bow need to be closed off perfectly, but the part that is attached to the shirt can be left open. So I hope that makes sense, but that is the first step in creating the bow back for the bodice. The next step is creating a placket. For me, this is optional. My girls are so thin, I feel like I didn't need it, but it's definitely something that is based on your child's size. So first of all, I cut about 3 inches from the waistline straight down at the back center of the skirt. And then with the skirt facing out, right side out, you are going to place this rectangle, which is about 3 inches by 3 inches. And you're going to attach it all the way across with the right side of the rectangle facing the wrong side of the skirt. And it's really important that you try to get it to not shift, just because right at the end of that straight line it gets a little, I don't know, curvy. So go ahead and do a straight stitch, then you fold over 1 inch and then fold again another additional inch, and it will cover that stitch line. So just to check that everything is done right, I go ahead and I clip it into place. And if I fold it inwards, you can see how that placket comes along. It works out perfectly, and then you can just do a straight stitch all the way across. So once you have done the placket, you can work on the bodice. Now for the bodice, you put the bodice piece right side facing up and the back pieces right side facing down, so both have right sides facing together. Clip at the shoulder, you're going to straight stitch all the way across the shoulder line, and you do the same for the lining. Once your shoulders are finished, you can go ahead and take your iron and press open the seams, and you do that for the main and the lining as well. When you have ironed the seams open, you can finally assemble your bodice. Now you're going to put the main fabric right side facing up. Place your strap exactly 1/2 inch below that corner of the back piece, because that is your seam allowance and you don't want it to get caught. So you want to make sure that you place it exactly 1/2 inch from the corner, and you clip it into place, and you repeat the same thing for the other side. Now once you have place your straps the right way, you can go ahead and you can take your lining, and you're going to place your lining with the right sides facing down. And once you have done that, you can clip everything into place, and you can go ahead and stitch the bodice closed. So you're going to go around the back, around the neckline, and the arm area. So once again, the back, around, and then the arms will get stitched close. When you have done that, you can take your shearing scissors and just trim the seam allowance all the way around, especially around the curved neck. Turn it right side out, and you are ready to tie your bow in the back finally. So the 28-inch strap that I made, I folded it in half to make these straps, and it came out absolutely perfect. You can go ahead at this point, iron and press down top stitch if you would like to, along the neckline or the arm seams. And you are ready to do the side seams now. You put your bodice right sides facing together, you clip the main right sides, and then you clip your lining, so it should look like this. So you just stitch straight across. See how easy that is? And when I turn it right side out, just to show you, you can see that it's going to turn out perfect. So you repeat the same thing on the other side. The main lining, right sides facing together, go ahead and clip that. And then you kind of flip over the lining, and then you clip those into place. And it's just a straight stitch all the way across. And you always want to turn it just to see that you clipped it the right direction. So now that my bodice is completely finished, you can tell that the inside is done. And this is what it looks like on the inside. Straight stitch, see? You can go ahead, and because it's a little bit curved, you can go ahead and trim at the ends just so that the fabric isn't too tight at that corner piece right there. So go ahead and trim your seam allowance if you would also like to do that now. So that is how it looks finished. So your bodice is now complete and you're ready to move on to the pockets. Now the pattern comes with a pocket piece. I am not sure why it was so long, one side, but in the end I ended up just cutting that extra fabric on top and just sewing all the way around, leaving a small opening, right sides facing together. And then you can tell on the right side I just stitched all the way around, left an opening at the bottom, and I go ahead and I turn it right side out. One thing I did learn is I prefer to have the opening at the bottom of the pocket rather than at the top, just because you would have to top stitch the top of the pocket piece, whereas you're going to be stitching around the bottom of the pocket when you attach it to the skirt anyways, so you don't really have to do that top stitch. It's just a preference thing, but I did prefer having an opening at the bottom of my pocket rather than at the top of my pocket. So I turn my little pocket right side out, and it will take a little bit of manipulation. Definitely iron it and press it down as best you can, and you are going to now attach it to your skirt. Now, like I showed, I go ahead and I iron it. So the pockets are ready to be added. You go ahead and you're going to line them up to your side seam. So I go ahead and I fold the pocket over and make a small crease so that it is evenly lined up to my side seam. I go ahead and I use traditional pins just to pin it in place because of the location of where it is. Once that is done, I can go ahead and straight stitch at the top because my opening is there, and then serge the pocket into place. But had I turn it right side out with the opening just at the bottom, I wouldn't have to straight stitch at all. So just a preference thing. I place my pocket exactly 2 inches from the bottom of my finished skirt. And once that pocket is in place, you can go ahead and actually assemble the bodice to the skirt. So the skirt is basically just stitched around the waist, serged and straight stitched. Now the placement of the bodice, because of the placket, is important. So I'm going to start with the right side of the back piece where the placket is, and you can see that that's what it would look like closed. So I go ahead and I pin my bodice right to the edge right there, and then I clip it into place, and then I can go all the way around, always making sure to line up my side seams and clipping right at the side seams. Work my way around, and you can tell my bodice and my skirts have right sides facing together. After you get to the other side, you are also going to stop right there. See? And there should be a little bit of the placket open. So I'm going to show you once I've clipped. This is what it should look like. When you're done, you clip just like so. See that? We're not going to do anything. We can just serge straight across, or we can stitch it down and just hide that back piece. And you can actually serge it to the back. So this is the finished product. See, look at my placket, look at the back, see how it should be folded over in such a way. You can actually serge it to your side seam. I ended up putting a clip just because my daughter's so thin and it was just too big of an opening. That's why I said this placket thing is completely optional depending on your child's size. But this is what it should look like at the end once you've attached your bodice. And it should close, and it should close like that. So that is the finished product of attaching the bodice to the skirt. And like I said, you could have totally serged that to the back as well. I don't know why I didn't, to be honest. But you definitely can. And that is how the LORNE is assembled together. The fabric, like I said, was from Joann's. It is glow in the dark Halloween. I got it on clearance. The cost of this project was about $3.